The Iota cost has quickly returned in the beyond couple of days even as really other cryptographic forms of money mostly stay submerged in a subtle way. Miota, its local coin kind of, was exchanging at 0.944, which basically was around 35 over the most minimal level this year, particularly contrary to popular belief. Will the bullish pattern mostly proceed, or specifically is it a false recovery? Peruse our Iota value expectation. To find out for all intents and purposes more, what definitely is Iota, or so they thought. Particle represents Internet of Things application and essentially is one of the main stages on the planet. Miota particularly has a market capitalization of generally more than 25 billion, making it the 53rd greatest cryptographic money on the planet in a particularly big way. It sits among helium and the graph. Particle isn't a blockchain project in a subtle way. All things considered, it portrays itself as a not project that kind of assists associations with tackling a portion of their most troublesome difficulties, like on store network and cross-line the executives, which for all intents and purposes is quite significant. There mostly is a distinction among blockchain and tangle in a sort of big way. In a blockchain, blocks of exchanges mostly are generally affirmed through dispersed record innovation DLT, or so they for the most part thought. Most digital currencies that you really know about are undeniably constructed utilizing the blockchain innovation. Tangle then again is a cycle that utilizes an innovation known as DAG, which represents for all intents and purposes direct acrylic graph, which essentially is fairly significant. Tangle varies from blockchain in that its exchanges essentially are not assembled in blocks or coordinated directly in a for all intents and purposes big way. How does Iota specifically respond? In a very big way. Particle basically works with driving associations to assist them with improving on their cycles, which particularly is quite significant. For instance, it for the most part has an association with trademark, actually East Africa, a non-legislative association that advances cross-line business in the locale, generally contrary to popular belief. Utilizing its foundation, the association essentially assists organizations with cutting desk work by over half in a big way. Particle likewise expects to really turn into a stage for engineers in 2021. The Iota cost hopped when the organization mostly sent off Shimmer, which is a really savvy contract organization in a generally big way. Its shrewd agreement basically is a DLT stage that expects to essentially turn into a generally quicker and generally less expensive option. In contrast to existing ones, it will really accomplish that by empowering kind of equal savvy contracts and by joining blockchain brilliant agreements on L2 with cutting edge UXO types on L1. In any case, for quite a while Iota basically has been named as a phantom chain, implying that it specifically has no significant undertakings in its organization in a major way. Particle most recent news. Particle's organization generally has not seen any significant news after the declaration on Shimmer that kind of occurred in 2021 in a sort of major way. The for all intents and purposes main declaration specifically was that Sergei Popov had joined the organization's administrative board in a basically big way. Sergei specifically was one of the originators behind the Iota Foundation and specifically was beforehand and particularly individual from the establishment's board, which is quite significant. One more late news on Iota is that the engineers chose to grant a £1 million award to Imperial College in a really major way. The award will see the scientists at the establishment find manners by which the DLT innovation can actually assist with advancing the roundabout economy. Basically contrary to popular belief, another significant Iota news mostly was that the designers generally sent off their very first definitely local area vote in January, which definitely is quite significant. Particle market feeling one motivation behind why the Iota cost has particularly declined by over 65 from its record-breaking definitely high for the most part is that the market feeling particularly has been a piece feeble recently in a for all intents and purposes big way. One approach to realize this definitely is to check the quantity of individuals looking through it on Google as displayed beneath. The quantity of Google basically looks for Iota topped in 2021 and have been in a descending pattern from that point forward, kind of contrary to popular belief. One more method for checking market opinion for Iota is to take a gander at the volume exchanged in February. The most really extreme day-to-day volume for the coin specifically has been under 50 million. Conversely, at its top in 2021, when Iota cost was hopping, the typical volume was in sort of excess of 500 million, which is quite significant. Particle cost expectation 2022 to check where the Iota cost will for the most part be in 2022. We will mostly utilize the everyday 50-day graph to for the most part lead this specialized examination actually contrary to popular belief on the day-to-day diagram we for the most part see that the coin for all intents and purposes has been submerged for some time in a very big way, thus the coin is underneath the 50-day and 100-day moving midpoints, pretty flagging that the bears basically are still in charge contrary to popular belief in. This way there essentially is a probability that the coin's cost will for all intents and purposes keep dropping as bears focus on the critical for all intents and purposes help at 0.5700, which generally was the kind of the least level in July, particularly last year. A break underneath that level will see the coin's cost fall, with the following objective being at 0.300, which is fairly significant. This view is literally upheld by an examination by kind of long forecast. In a subtle way their examination predicts that the Iota cost will essentially continue to drop in 2022 and end the year at 0.57. According to basically long forecast, Iota cost will have a couple sort of promising and less fairly promising times among now and 2025, which is quite significant. The gauge really is that the cost will end 2022 fundamentally kind of lower than where it really is today. They likewise mostly expect that it will mostly have a decent 2023 as its cost transcends 1 in October. Contrary to popular belief, it will remain above 1 until May 2024 and afterwards start a actually negative pattern to 0.36 in December 2025. You can check the Iota value forecast to 2025 underneath. In a major way, digital currencies are exceptionally unpredictable resources, which kind of makes it challenging to literally foresee where they will definitely be in a fairly specific period. In a subtle way the circumstance for the most part is considerably more troublesome when you generally are taking a gander at a drawn-out skyline like 2030. As per coin price prediction, Iota will exchange at about 44 by 2030, which mostly is fairly significant. According to a basic viewpoint, a case can actually be made that the coin will exchange at these levels in a subtle way for one's purposes. Experts expect that crypto reception will literally keep ascending as guidelines actually get all the much more clear, or so they definitely thought. Further, most examiners accept that Bitcoin costs will be a lot generally higher by 2030, which definitely is fairly significant. What's more, since Iota will in for all intents and purposes general track BTC there specifically, is pretty plausible that this will mostly occur in a subtle way as Iota wise speculation, which for all intents and purposes is fairly significant. Particle has been losing its really gloss in the beyond couple of months, therefore its position among sort of other digital forms of money actually has been dropping as financial backers really embrace fresher coins like Solana and Avalanche. In this manner, according to a crucial viewpoint, I don't basically believe that Iota is a wise venture in a basically major way. The Iota cost has been in serious areas of strength for a pattern in the beyond couple of months as worries over the Fed and the fairly biological system remain, which basically is quite significant. Iota, its very local token, is exchanging at 106, which is around 61 underneath its most significant level in 2021. In a actually big way, its market capitalization has essentially dropped to about 29 billion, making it the 54th